The title of this exhibition is one of those double-barreled art names: Facing Fire, Art, Wildfire, and the End of Nature in the New West. The opening reception was Saturday, February 29th, 2020. 600 people crowded the first two floors of UCR Art's California Museum of Photography. All 16 artists were there from all over California, the East Coast, one from Europe. Looking back, it's remarkable that the opening reception ducked under the COVID virus wire. On that date, on February 29th, I looked it up. There were 22 COVID cases reported in the United States. 2 weeks later, the museum was closed. Everything had changed. And the full shutdown of California and eventually the US and most of the world was coming up really immediately after. The subject of this show, pretty obviously, is wildfires, specifically California wildfires. And the artists, the 16 artists, address fire as subject, but also as metaphor, and a lot from deep personal experience. Interestingly, there are really direct parallels between wildfire and COVID-19, and it's worth commenting about. I mean, they're natural forces, of course, and they're destructive, but it goes beyond that. Under fire conditions, dry, windy, the wind sends embers way ahead, sparking new fires way forward of the fire lines. With the virus, an infected person is that same spark. Epidemiologists even talk about the virus, any virus, burning its way through a population. Essentially, we're the tinder for COVID-19. And a virus will burn through the world until enough people have immunity or a vaccine that it can no longer burn. This exhibition, strangely, is amazingly pertinent in this time. Fire is a fundamental force, but it's one that we can call forth. You can't similarly summon a flood or an earthquake or a drought or a hurricane, or for that matter, a virus. Fire is elemental, yet we've domesticated it. It's a primal force, but we've brought it inside to warm our hearths. Even so, the threat of fire remains. It's the cooking hearth, but it's also the apocalypse. It'll warm your house, but it also just might burn it down. Every human society has possessed fire. We tend it, we've treasured it, we carry torches, we gather fuel. Our earliest caves are marked with hearths. Fire essentially empowered humanity, but it's equally the case that humanity has freed flame. Essentially, mankind has touched every place we visit with fire. Our diaspora across the planet is marked by charcoal. The hearth fire, the burned bones of prey, the carbon black of ritual cremation, the firing of forest and steppe. Fire and humanity, we've propelled each other around the globe. Working on Facing Fire, I've started to think that wildfire has become a stand-in. It's essentially a site of displacement for our more immaterial fears. We've sort of entered a new state of perpetual threat. And the ideal emblem of that is fire. You can't see, the slow degradation of an ecosystem or the harm of economic imbalance or the erosion of norms, all of these things that we face and we fear. But fire is, fiercely visual. You can't see fear, you can't see anger, but if flames engulf a mountainside or a neighborhood, the news helicopters are overhead and the photographers flock and we all get a live feed. So this sort of psychic tone of our time is distrustful and disintegrating and discordant. Wildfire comes around with sort of a reassuring, insistent seasonality. It's the ultimate dystopian metaphor. It's uncontrollable, it's deadly, it's devouring. So again, we're gathering at the communal fires, but the meaning has shifted.